everyone. This is Darcenovia here. Sorry for delaying, the stream. I did another stream with B Level for those of you who watch both of our content, and I had to watch, Ninja Turtles 3 right afterwards. So sorry for the delay. It was originally going to be on Sunday, but there was other stuff going on. But now that that's done, I finally saw the movie probably for the first time in Jesus, 9 years. I'm not joking. This movie is probably the movie I watched the least amount of all the Ninja Turtles movies, besides the Bay Turtles movies. And oh god. Now, I don't want to copy what other people have said about this movie because AVGN has said some things about this movie along with various other people, and I'm just going to give my own take on it. For those of you who watch this afterwards, when it's not live, I'm sorry if you missed the stream. So if you manage to watch this after the stream is over, well, enjoy. Ninja Turtles 3, for me, is a movie I didn't hate as a kid. It's one of those movies that I viewed as a guilty pleasure. But if I have to be honest here, a lot of the stuff in this movie has aged horribly. My God. Ninja Turtles, let's just go back in time a little bit. The first Ninja Turtles movie is the pinnacle of the trilogy. And it's the best movie of the entire, franchise. And Ninja Turtles 2 was what happens when a corporation steps in and basically takes everything that made the first one good and strip most of it out and give us a corporate kids movie. Ninja Turtles 3 is what happens when a corporation takes that step even further to the point where this movie doesn't feel like it belongs with the rest of the movies of the trilogy. Okay, first off, let's start with the reasons why this movie is considered one of the worst movies ever made. One, the opening scene of this movie does not feel like something you see out of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It looks like something out of those really bad what America thinks Japan is like movies. It's one of those really bad, opening scenes. It's one of the worst opening scenes ever. And when we finally see the turtles, we're treated with horrible looking abominations that look awful. It's like, look at the turtles in the second film. There were a huge improvement in some ways, not design-wise, but in the way the animal electronics look. With the way the turtles' facial expressions, the way, the animal electronics, look, make it seem like the turtles, are able to convey more kinds of emotions. The first movie, with a low budget managed to, make, these turtles feel like they actually exist in our world. Ninja Turtles 3, I don't know what the fuck these are. I know without Jen Henson, obviously it's going to look even worse, but these look like abominations. Oh my God, I fucking hate these turtles designs. I really do. The lip syncing is terrible. The facial expressions they don't even look that good in this movie. It feels like, the facial expressions don't even change. And oh God, the designs, they're fucking awful. Fucking, oh my God. Holy shit. Oh my God, these designs are oh God. Oh my God. What were they thinking? What were they thinking with those ugly looking designs? Oh my God. Even the next mutation has better looking designs than these. And oh God. And the next mutation was made with a Power Rangers budget, and those still look better than those abominations. Oh my God. I forgot how awful they looked. Holy shit. Just holy fucking shit. Come on. I cannot be the only ones that think that these designs are one of the worst designs ever in the franchise. The next mutation looks better, despite having a lower budget. Oh my god. Oh my god. They're abominations. Oh my god. I'm like 5 minutes in. I'm talking about the terrible designs. I mean, they don't even look recognizable from the previous movies. Like, from a visual continuity standpoint, the lair doesn't even look the same as it does in Ninja Turtles 2. Why does everything look even more colorful than Ninja Turtles 2? Like, what the hell were they thinking? Oh my god. Why did the executives who were fucking approving of this shit thought it was such a good idea to make the turtles look like fucking abominations? What were they thinking? What were they thinking? Oh my god. Oh my god. These designs are worse than I remember. Oh, hey Max Panther, how you doing, comrade? Oh, God. I don't even think that saying they look like Battletoads, you know, they don't even look like Battletoads. If they looked like Battletoads, at least they look cool. These don't even look good. Jeez. It's like they're so cheap looking, the freaking designs. I swear. I mean, seriously. Those designs look so cheap. They're so cheap looking. Holy shit, they're so cheap looking. I mean, holy shit. I mean, how is it that a movie from, that was filmed in the late 80s has designs that look much better than a movie that was made with way higher of a budget than that? And I'm just talking about the opening scene, for crying out loud. And Splinter. Remember how Splinter looked in the first two movies? How he looked like an actual rat. It didn't look like, an unfinished, electronic model. It's like the people, when they were working on this movie, forgot to finish him, because you never actually see him, standing in this movie. They cut as many, corners as possible. I mean, seriously. I mean, holy shit. I mean, holy fucking shit. How could people, honestly, oh, holy God. And that's the thing. No one's defending this movie, and for good reason. I mean, I'm bitching about superficial shit right now, but then again, the designs for the turtles are very important, because this is what we're going to look at throughout the entire movie. This movie feels like it's two movies in one. The part where it takes place in Japan, it just feels like they stole a set from another movie, and the part that in the sewers, that is a Ninja Turtles movie. And do not get me started on what they did to Casey Jones in this film. I wanted Casey in Ninja Turtles 2. Yet in this movie, he's in here, yet he's not even there for like 5 minutes. He's barely in the movie. The actor that played Casey Jones played some other character. It's like, holy shit, what a missed opportunity to have Casey Jones in this movie. Another missed opportunity. Oh my God. The concept of them going back in time is not the issue I have with this film. It's the fact that out of all the villains they could have made in this movie, they gave us, calling them B villains is insulting. They're like D-list villains at best. It's like, holy shit. D-list villains. I mean, I know the Shredder is dead because of Ninja Turtles 2, but they could have like had the main villain been Shredder's ancestor. And That could have given an excuse to use the Shredder once again. But they just gave us some forgettable villains that I forgot their names like after I watched the movie because that's how bad they are. It's like, holy shit. Okay. The actress they got for April from the second movie does return. They got the first guy who did Donatello from the first movie to reprise his role as Donatello in Ninja Turtles 3. Raphael had a different voice actor than he did in the second movie, but his voice in the third film is nowhere near as good as the first two films. And this is speaking of voice acting. The voice acting is bad in this film. I mean, holy crap. Everything is a step down in this movie, it seems like. I mean, it seems like, I mean, with how bad the freaking lip syncing is for the, animatronics in this movie, it doesn't really leave the actors much room to really do anything. I mean, it doesn't even feel like their mouths are actually moving when they talk most of the time. It sounds like they have a sock, in their throat as they're speaking. It's like, holy shit. Oh, God. And another thing that's just bad about this film is if you're a fan of Michelangelo and he's your favorite turtle, he's barely in here compared to what he was in Ninja Turtles 1 and Ninja Turtles 2. And this movie has only one fight scene that has all four turtles. I'm going to have to repeat myself. One fight scene for those who have never seen this movie, who started off with the 2012 series. One fight scene in the entire movie where all four turtles are together. Now, Ninja Turtles 1 had multiple fight scenes with all four turtles. Most of the fight scenes had all four. Same thing with Ninja Turtles 2. Now, Ninja Turtles 3 barely has Michelangelo in any fight scenes except the last one. Now, speaking of the fight scenes, okay, yes, they use their weapons, unlike the second film. And the fight choreography is better in this film than the second film. But I would rather watch Ninja Turtles 2 because it's more entertaining. It's more fun. Yeah, there's some cheesy moments in the second film, but there's some humor in this film that just hasn't aged well. I know there's a transphobic joke in this movie that can be interpreted today as a transphobic joke when they during one of the opening scene where April gets transported back in time and Kenshi replaces her when Mike says she's a man. It's like, oh fuck, that has aged horribly. There's also other jokes that have aged horribly, like I know the Turtles are all about pop culture references. They always do it. I mean, that's what the Turtles have always done. But some of these references they've made just haven't aged well at all. And it got insane how many of them they've made. There's a subtle way of doing it, and then there's an in-your-face way of doing it. Like Ninja Turtles 1, when it made some pop cultural references, it did it very sparingly. And when it made pop culture references in Ninja Turtles 2, it did it very sparingly. But this has got ridiculous. No wonder Peter Laird hates this. He hates this movie too, which doesn't surprise anyone. Oh, God. I'm not going to lie. This movie, if you were a kid waiting from 1991 to when this movie came out, you'd be disappointed in this movie. There's so many things they could have done in Ninja Turtles 3 besides a time travel plot and have villains that are D-list villains that are completely forgettable. Krang, I know some people would have wanted Krang. In 1993, that would have been impossible with the current technology to do Krang. They could have done like anything else. They could have introduced other villains from the comics. They could have introduced Karai. They could have done a city at war storyline. I mean, they have plenty of other stuff they could have done for Ninja Turtles. They had a lot of stuff to choose from. But they chose to do one of the most easy to things they could have done as possible. And instead of actually having the Shredder be of the villain in this plot, they could have done anything else, literally. I mean, City at War, they could have done that easily in the 90s because you don't need a super high budget to do City at War. They could have literally done anything but the kind of plot line they chose for Ninja Turtles 3. Time travel is a thing in the comics. They have done it. But the problem is it was the worst kind of time travel plot for Ninja Turtles that they could have chosen. And before I move on to the next point, I'm going to answer Cybernetic Geek. Is a TMNT series review going to come up? The 2003 series is coming soon. I'm just doing these reviews as a warm-up before I get to a full-fledged series. Because a TV series is going to be a longer review than a movie, considering there's a lot more ground to cover. I mean, the 2003 series, I have over 150-something episodes, plus Turtles Forever. So I am going to cover those at a later time. Now, Ninja Turtles 3, other things about the film that I do think that are bad. I haven't even said anything good besides the fight scenes, which like, okay, if I want fight scenes, I can watch the first movie. The cringy as hell humor. Now, don't get me wrong. I said this movie was a guilty pleasure. But I don't think this. I'm like 31 now, and I don't even consider it a guilty pleasure really at this point. It's so bad that it's bad. I think Ninja Turtles 2 qualifies as a guilty pleasure. It's something I could generally enjoy. It's a fun movie. Yes, it's corporatized. Yes, it's not as good as the first one. Yes, everything that they did in that movie was pretty much corporate, but it's at least a leagues better than this. It's like almost as if they wanted to go as far away as possible to, film in a place that looks like New York. That's what it feels like to me for Ninja Turtles 3. Like, they didn't even want to go anywhere near New York in this film. That's why they chose feudal Japan. It's like, shit. Like, all the characters that are in this movie are pretty bad that they're introduced. Like, I don't even remember, any of them. Yeah, Danny from the first Ninja Turtles movie is featured in one film, but he's a much more memorable character than any of these characters in this movie. Same thing with Kano, which we don't speak of Kano, one of the shittiest Ninja Turtles characters. But even he's more memorable than any of the characters featured in here. If this did not have the Ninja Turtles name on it, no one would pay attention to this film. That's how bad it is. Holy shit. Oh my God. I used to say I don't hate this movie like a lot of other people, but to be honest here, I'm like older now, and I have to be objective here and take my fucking love for Ninja Turtles, away for. This is objectively one of the worst movies ever made. It truly is. The plot is bad. The suits look like shit. The voice acting is shitty. They couldn't even get the guy who voiced Splinter in the first two movies in this movie. He probably saw the script. It's like, oh, fuck this shit. I'm not going to be in this. It's like they took everything that was good about the second film, at least some of the good things that was good, and removed him. It's like, it's almost as if, like, oh my God, Jesus, this movie literally killed Turtle Mania. I would say this movie did, because it was this bad. This is the reason why the franchise almost died in the 1990s. Not only was this movie, did it take longer for this movie to come out than the other two movies? When it finally did come out, the franchise was declining in popularity. And I feel like this movie accelerated the death of Ninja Turtles in the 90s. I mean, who the fuck would be a fan after watching this shitty movie? I mean, seriously. I mean, the Turtles in the original trilogy deserved a better, ending than this. Before the 2003 series came out, the original TMNT trilogy was my favorite incarnation of the Turtles before the 2003 series came out. And this is how, they're send off. I mean, Jesus, so much potential forever wasted. This movie is mocked, and for good reason. This movie paved the way for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers to take TMNT's spot. I mean, just look at the numbers. Just look at how the franchise declined after this movie came out. And there wouldn't be another live action movie until like 21 years later. That's how bad this movie was. 21 years it took for another live action Ninja Turtles movie to come out. And I'm not going to talk about the Michael Bay movie in this podcast. I'll do a podcast on those films another day. Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm not going to lie about this movie. Outside, the soundtrack, there isn't really much redeeming value in this film. Honestly. But then again, that soundtrack you could easily find on YouTube, and a lot of the stuff in the soundtrack are, reuse songs from the first two movies. So, yeah. Ninja Turtles definitely needs a reboot in the movies that brings back the series to its dark roots. Ninja Turtles 3 strayed so far from, the original movie in terms of its, roots. It lost everything that made it special. I mean, if you look at the Turtles and the first film and how they're characterized and compare them here, they're unrecognizable. All of them are unrecognizable. They don't even feel the same as they did in the first movie. I mean, the second film, they may have made some changes because of the tone, but it wasn't so drastic where the characters were completely unrecognizable. The third film, I don't even recognize Raphael in this movie. There's nothing about the angry, hothead turtle that I loved, in the 80s movie. Whoever, 90s movie. I mean, that movie is the Batman 89 of the TMNT franchise. Secret of the Ooze is the Batman Forever. This movie is Batman and Robin before Batman and Robin. Yes, I'm comparing Batman and Robin to Ninja Turtles 3 because they're both bad. But here's a huge difference between Batman and Robin and Ninja Turtles 3. Batman and Robin, an argument can be made that it's a guilty pleasure. And Joe Schumacher, who made Batman and Robin, At least he was trying to make a movie to entertain people. At least he had his heart was in the right place. The people who worked on Ninja Turtles 3, they didn't give a shit. So this was another fucking movie to them. There was no passion put into Ninja Turtles 3. This was just another fucking cash grab to them. They didn't care. They didn't actually make this movie to make a movie. I mean, I may have been vocal against Joe Schumacher's Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, but those movies have passion put into them. Even if you don't like them, the director who worked on those two movies, Joe Schumacher, cared. And the reason I'm comparing him, because a lot of people give those movies shit, me included, but at least those movies, the person that actually worked on them, the people, they actually cared about the material they were working on, even if we don't like it. Ninja Turtles 3, no one cared. The actors didn't care. The director didn't care. I mean, why should they? I mean, would you care if you saw the script? They weren't even trying with this movie. I honestly felt like the corporate executives honestly thought that people, kids, because they thought we're stupid back then, we'd watch anything and just accept it. No, kids aren't fucking stupid. Kids, who watched the first movie, by the time they watch the third, they know what's fucking good and what's bad. And a lot of kids, when they watched this movie in the 90s, thought this movie fucking sucked. And those kids who are now, in their 30s or early 40s, to this day knows this movie fucking sucks. Ninja Turtles 3 is one of the worst movies of all time. It's not an opinion. It's an objective fact. Honestly, I'm sorry. I'm not going to hold back on this movie just because I love this franchise. The fact that I love this franchise is why Ninja Turtles 3 to me is an abomination. It truly is an abomination. From everything, from a filmmaking perspective, it sucks. I mean, the acting, it's not even so bad it's good. It's so bad that it's cringe. The voice acting is so bad that it's cringe. The villains are so bad that they're cringe. Ninja Turtles 3, I don't know what they were thinking when they made that movie. I really don't know what they were thinking, to be honest. Ninja Turtles 3, I haven't seen it that much, to be honest with you, since the year 2007. And I have to make a confession. AVGN, when I watched that video back in 2007, I reconsidered what I thought about that Ninja Turtles movie. I really did reconsidered. I'm not saying my opinion is influenced by AVGN in any way, but watching that review ruined that movie for me. And when I watched it again back in 2011, I was laughing at how bad this movie was. 2020, 9 years later, it has, I don't even know what to describe. I was cringing the whole time. I don't understand how anyone in their right mind could, with a straight face, say that this movie, is good or this movie has entertainment value. I don't understand. Nostalgia is the only thing this movie has going for it. If you grew up watching this in the 1990s. But here's the thing. Do you think kids of today are going to watch this? This movie sucks. Anyone can see it. Even a blind puppy can see that this movie is, it sucks. I know I've shitted on this movie the whole freaking podcast, but I can't. To try to say something good about this movie, it's to scrape some dog turds that on the bottom of a freaking bucket. There really isn't anything positive I could really say about Ninja Turtles 3. The first film is an underrated classic that deserves far more to respect than it deserves, than any movie that it's given. Sorry, I mean, the first of the Turtles movie deserves far more respect than it currently has. But because of movies like this and Ninja Turtles 2, the first film is even looked at as the same as every other freaking movie of the trilogy. The first movie doesn't deserve to be, ranked low on Rotten Tomatoes because of this abomination. It really doesn't. When I was a kid, when I watched this movie, like, because I was a junkie for anything Ninja Turtles, I just sucked it up. I didn't like it as much as the first two movies, but I still enjoyed it. But as I got older, I enjoyed it less and less. Now, as an adult, I could probably go the rest of my life without ever seeing this movie and not really miss out on anything. Oh God. To be honest with you, I agree. To be honest, as at this point, I mean, AVGN literally ruins this movie for me. I used to be able to enjoy this movie, but AVGN made me reevaluate the movie. To be honest, when I first watched AVGN's Ninja Turtles 3 review, I acted like a freaking fanboy because it was part of my childhood. I didn't want to believe that this abomination was terrible, was a bad movie. But I refused to watch the movie after I watched the review. It wasn't until a few years later I gathered up my courage to see if AVGN was truly right, and I watched it, and look what you have. He was right. From the cringy dialogue, the terrible animatronics, the lack of Michelangelo, the terrible villains, the fucking plot. I agreed with everything AVGN said in that review, to be honestly. But all my criticisms here are my own. They're not borrowed from AVGN. Honestly. And well, when I look at this movie, I just see nothing but wasted opportunities. Nothing but a cash grab that is only remembered because of how bad it is. That if it weren't for, people like AVGN to actually review this film, it would be one of those movies that people would say, we shall not name that movie. This movie is just bad, honestly. I know I've said it a lot in this freaking video, but it's just bad. Ninja Turtles 3, if you're old enough that you have children of your own and you grew up watching this film, I won't even recommend showing this to your children because, come on, our kids deserve better than some piece of shit abomination like this. It is, whoever the hell nicknamed it Turtles in Time, I want to strangle with my bare hands because it doesn't even deserve to be called Turtles in Time. Let's not compare the masterpiece on the Super Nintendo and the arcade to one of the worst movies ever. I mean, oh God, that's just disgusting. It doesn't deserve that title. It really doesn't. This movie is also an example of the movie, the third movie curse. When a movie gets to the third one, it's always going to suck. It's movies like this is the reason why. Coming Out of Their Shells tour, to be honest, if you are AK Master, it's not podcast worthy to talk about coming out of their shells tour. It's just not. I mean, come on. It's bad. Yeah, of course it's bad. But that's to be expected. The standards for it are very low. I don't think anyone denies how bad it is. Ninja Turtles 3, on the other hand, is part of a long running franchise, and it's the movie that nearly killed the franchise in the 90s. In fact, this movie is also the reason why the cartoon in seasons 8, 9, and 10 distance itself from the freaking corniness of the freaking Ninja Turtles 1 and 2, because this movie essentially stigmatized Ninja Turtles at the time. This is the reason why the cartoon, went with the Red Sky seasons route, because the movies were using the original cartoons tone for the most part, at least after the first one. Yeah. I don't know what more I can say. I've been ranting for like almost 40 minutes about this movie. Unless anyone else has anything to add in the comments section, I think I'll end this stream. In the future, I will review the CGI TMNT movie and the Bay TMNT movies. Because, why not? Anyway, people, this is Darcenovia, over and out, and see you guys next time with my review of the CGI TMNT movie reviews. Well, review will be more accurate to say. Anyway, people, have a nice day, and may the force be with us all. Later.